Speeding.
But
So how do you see? Yes. The way you know the go more get into it. I can't even see your face. Hello. Can you please give me the dustbin? I'd like to present. Rolling. What's your sound? Is it rolling? It's rolling. Be inspired. So I'll answer this. Let me hear it.
Greetings. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. My name is Mkhulu Makanya, and I'm really happy to have you tune into today's episode. From wherever you could be tuning in from, I'm all the way in Johannesburg in South Africa, and would like to introduce to you today's topic, which is the soul. The soul and the different offices that the soul holds. So as you sit there, for example, you are a dad, you are a mom, you're a child, you're a sister, and you're an employer, you're an employee. So we're going to look at all these offices that you hold as an individual and how you show up in those offices that you hold. So today's topic seeks to just unpack the characteristics of the soul and to understand how those characteristics affect the different offices that we hold. For example, most people, or in most cases, we are so attached to the offices that we hold to an extent of identifying ourselves with those offices without making a distinction between the office and the soul, or the office and the self. So there are people who are so attached to the offices that they hold. For example, when you're a mom, you cannot create or come up with an identity that is separate from a mom. To come up with that definition or understanding of self does not necessarily mean you reject being a mom, but it simply means you are creating an identity or an explanation of self that actually expands on who you are. We also see it, for example, in secular spaces or spiritual communities where you occupy a certain office, church leader, boss at work, and you take that label or that office everywhere you go. And it is the first thing that you bring into your relationships, into communities that you occupy, that I am actually so and so according to the office that you hold. So who are you when you are not in the role? For me, it's the question that I'd like us to reflect on and to think about today. What kind of an awareness do you bring into your office? What kind of an awareness do you cultivate about the self to a point where that awareness, gets taken into the role that we play, so that the role becomes aligned with who you are and not the other way around? Because for some people, they would like to align themselves to the role and not necessarily influence the roles or the offices that they hold. The first aspect of the soul that I would like us to look at is the aspect of the mind. Or probably I need to first mention all the aspects of the soul before we get into it. So a soul possesses the mind, a soul possesses the spirit, and then it is the body. And then you then have to relate with all three aspects of self in order to understand oneself, or to gain a definition of the three, in order to come into a definition of self. All of us walk through life with certain perceptions about who we are and what life is. Okay. How much work do we put in expanding our understanding of self, our understanding of others in the world? There are people who are just comfortable in knowing what they know. People don't believe in developing and growing their understanding of self, of the world, and of others. I can also say that people don't take into consideration the need to upgrade their formulas. How do you do relationships? How do you do your diet? How do you do your career? How do you do parenting? How do you do is a question that speaks to the formulas that you hold about what you perceive or what you take to be true about yourself and others. So most of us don't try to improve our formulas of how we understand ourselves and others. The most common formula to improving our formulas is reading. Not everyone is a fan of reading. Not everyone is a fan of books. Are you able to expose yourself to other ways of being that can improve how you see the world and how you see yourself? And that has got to do with the aspect of the soul that is the mind. Most people, for example, take it that by virtue of being an adult, I'm intelligent. By virtue of being an adult, I am matured. And because then you are an adult, because you hold a certain role, you don't take it seriously that there is always room to be more intelligent, to be more matured. And I'm speaking about maturity from a Western culture sense, because in the Western tradition, you are only as matured as you're able to make sense of things, for example. While in African indigenous spaces, maturity means something different. We will get into that a bit later on. So, cultivation of sharpness of mind, growing intellectually, expanding your ability to be mature and smart speaks to that aspect of the soul. How much of that do you do? Secondly, how much do we nourish our spirit? Superficially, people speak about church, speak about God to say, if I pray, if I meditate, this is how I nurture my spirit. But I'd like to believe the spirit is much more than that. For example, church is public worship. Church lasts for 30 minutes to an hour. If you don't go to church and you say that you do spirituality, you enjoy coming together with people to drum and to sing, that session only lasts for an hour or so. But in what way do you bring experiences into your life that deepens your inspiration to live, that excite you to look forward to tomorrow, that excite you to want to create more life for yourself? Most people, based on the nature of the world that we live in, sadness, disease, hurt, pain, fear, anxiety, worry, we are just happy with the kind of life that we live without necessarily wanting to expand. So when the part of the soul, which is spirit, when you take care of it, it begins to inspire you to do more. It begins to challenge you to look at the limitations that you've set for yourself and say, how much can I grow of this vision that I have for myself? And I believe that the spirit can be inspired by many more experiences, more than just church or spiritual spaces. You know, traveling inspires the spirit. For people who like writing, writing inspires the spirit. Painting inspires the spirit. Learning a new skill. If you're not, for example, that of a good cook like myself, it's something that you can take up to say, I'd like to learn how to cook. And you find that it inspires your spirit to say, I didn't realize that I could actually become a nurturer of others through the stuff that I cook. Learning a new skill is a good way to actually inspire the spirit to do better and to do more. Lastly, taking care of the soul and the role that it plays in different offices has got to do with taking care of one's body, which is another topic that we're going to go into in another episode in depth. But what it means is that we've been cultured to feel comfortable with pain in the body, with disease in the body. And we go into different roles that the soul holds with a body that is in pain, a body that feels uncomfortable, a body that is sick. And when the body is sick, it means it limits how much of ourselves we are able to give to a particular space or a particular role. So it's important for us to cultivate an awareness that it is not normal for you to be in pain physically all the time. It is not let me rather say it's normal, but it's not necessarily natural for us to live with disease in the body, because it limits so much of what we can do. So to take care of that aspect of the soul means to be concerned that we need to be disease-free. And when the body gets out of balance, we take the necessary steps and measures to ensure that we are restored into health. And in that way, we are able to lead a balanced life where the mind is intrigued, seeking new formulas, new ways of being. The spirit and the soul are inspired to create more, to expand more, and the body is feeling good and the body is healthy. So another key question that I'd like us to look at: what kind of a soul am I? You will notice that there are souls who cause chaos and pain wherever they are. And you will also realize that there are souls who bring joy and peace wherever they are. There are souls who struggle with healing. There are souls who get addicted to disease, like I said. There are souls who have a natural inclination to make a difference in the lives of others, in the lives of the world. The scale doesn't matter, whether in a small way, in a big way. And there are souls who are just obsessed with an idea of leaving this planet. There are people who just don't want to be here, so much that they begin to gain a negative outlook towards life. And they just cannot wait to die and to leave this planet. So I'd like to invite you to think about what kind of a soul are you, based on the reflection that you get from people or the feedback that you get from people. Do people enjoy being around you? Do you feel that people avoid you? People don't like you? Whatever mirror that you get from people is able to indicate to you what kind of a soul you are. And from that feedback, then you're able to determine in what ways can you become a better person, in what areas of your life can you improve and become a better person. Now, this is me assuming that you want that for yourself. You want to be a better person or a giver of better energies. Now, one person is going to ask the question, so what do I do because I keep attracting people who cause me pain? Either friends hurt me, or partners that I find myself in, or colleagues that I find in workplaces are people who reflect unto me that I deserve pain or I deserve to be taken advantage of, for example. That is also a feedback to say, what kind of a soul are you that attracts pain into their lives? Is there a way in which perhaps you are going through pain and you are not conscious of it, or you have not made a decision, for example, to heal from that kind of a pain? And I think once pain stops throbbing, we tend to assume that pain doesn't exist anymore. It's only when pain begins to manifest itself as disease or lack of sleep or loss of memory or snapping, being unkind, that we realize that there's an energy that is lying somewhere, but it's not necessarily throbbing, but it is actually pain, because the need to hurt other people is an indication that you could be carrying pain. You see that? If you realize that you struggle with being happy most of the time, sad, depressed, isolated, you're that kind of a soul that does not want to be in happy spaces, and you actually admire people that are happy, I think it's only fair to ask the question, in what way can I learn from them to be happy? But isn't that we wake up like that? Don't we wake up happy? Because I wake up sad. I wake up. Is an energy like happiness something that can be learned? Yes. Okay. So we can learn ways of being happy. We can learn ways of being better. And I know that for some people it looks as though it comes naturally for other people to be happy, but there are people who are happy because they work on it. They make an effort to be happy. Are you a kind of soul that goes through things, or you avoid things? Are you a soul that transcends through limitations, or you entertain limitations? If you realize that, I believe personally that one of the reasons why I came into the planet, it is to learn to master my body. Gym bores me to death. Gym, just like golf, bores me to death. I can go to gym day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, I'm bored. I don't want to go there anymore. Even though the rewards are nice, I really feel good after gym, but tell you what, I'm not going to go next week. I'm probably going to go the other week. I'm going to drag myself there. I'm going to go there out of guilt that if I don't go, then I'm going to get sick. I have to blackmail myself into going to gym. And I feel that I'm the kind of soul that came into the planet to master the practice of physical exercise. It's not my strength. I'm here for that. What do you feel you are here for? The people who struggle, like myself, with gym, people who struggle with money, people who struggle with being good parents, people who struggle with cultivating, developing leadership abilities, for example. There are people who struggle with, they don't know how to nurture and be kind unto others. There are people who struggle with procrastination, forgiveness, all these qualities, because they are not necessarily in the mainstream. They are not necessarily topics that are spoken about all the time. We don't see them as challenges. Once you have a certain weakness, procrastinating, for example, then we take it that that's who you are. Oh, so you're the type of personality that procrastinates? Yeah. Then we keep it moving. But we don't realize that it's actually the souling. It's the soul being itself. But that does not mean that you have to leave it at that. You can actually become a better mom, a better boss, better sister. Are you the type of sibling that always thrives on the sibling rivalry? When you and your brothers and sisters fight, that satisfies you. It gives you a sense of peace to say, between myself and my siblings, there's no peace, and that makes you happy. Every time when relationships end, if you go through a breakup, can we trust that you are going to accept that death is part of life? We all got to die one day. And people who are afraid of death, or who have not made peace with the ultimate death, you see them in how the little deaths, how they deal with little deaths that manifest in their lives. When their job ends, when you have to be separated from your children for the holidays, when you break up with someone, So every time you break up with someone, then you're going to cause chaos. You're going to attack yourself. You're going to attack the other person. You're going to want to hurt them. And that are all indications of a fear-driven response to the reality of death. What we don't realize about the soul, number one, is that the soul carries its own stories, and the soul carries its own map as to the things that it would like to experience. And so at a given time, the soul felt that it wanted to experience that, which you felt at the given time, that this resonates with me, because the soul communicates through resonance/feelings. So there was a time when you were experiencing the thing, and it felt good, and it felt that you were responding to a need. And then, with the passing of time, the need died. Then the soul has had what it wanted to, and it's time to drop the thing and move on to the next thing. To ask the soul to say, now that this guy is snoring, so now that I've experienced this and I've seen this, you can even ask the soul, what would you like to learn next, if learning is what you desire. So I think it's coming to an awareness of appreciating the fact that the soul is self-aware, and the soul is able to indicate through resonance and feelings that it craves certain experiences, or it desires certain experiences. But once it's done with that, then it's time to move on. death. It is possible for the soul to want something that is going to harm you. Harm on the outside, human levels, harm, right? At a spiritual level, harm means to delay the process of growth. So on the outside, pain, chaos, devastation, fine, harm. At a soul level, harm means delaying the growth of the soul, the evolution of the soul. So sometimes the soul will ask for what will delay the growth of the soul. Because you find that in some instance, whether in this life or the past life, the soul did experience that thing, but it felt I didn't experience it fully. Because once the soul experiences something fully, then it comes out with a lesson. So sometimes when we lie to ourselves or when we cheat ourselves, and then we experience something halfway, then the curiosity stays. And the curiosity can stay from one lifetime to another. But what then transforms the curiosity is the power of choice. Because choice is able to lead the soul to places of acceptance. Because accepting has got more to do with choosing to align with where you want to go. Whereas cheating has got to do with escaping, not wanting to face, not wanting to see what the soul is actually, where the soul is actually taking me. So when you notice that the soul is asking of you to do something that will harm you on all levels, you can then transform that through choice and ask the soul to accept that I choose to do something different because I feel this is the lesson. Can acceptance come in here? And then that's how you move through that. I think that, for example, as we sit here, everybody sits with a lot of possibilities and a lot of potential. If this house catches fire, we can decide to just sit here and say, indeed, our dying day has come. Or we can run towards windows, run towards doors and try to escape because we want to live. I believe we always have a choice. It depends on the context. In some contexts, you do have a choice to change the situation, but you don't have a right to. Because the law of life and destiny has put you there to say, you are a woman. So whether you change your sex, that's your choice. But you will be a gay man. That you're a man will not change. You can either be a gay man or a heterosexual man. I am born gay, but you are a gay man. So being a man is not up to you, but being a gay man is a choice. For example, the soul can come into the planet choosing that I want to experience this life as a gay man. And you can change that to say, I want to become a heterosexual man. We've seen people, if I may make use of that example. You come from a family of both your parents not educated. It's beyond you that your parents are like that. There's nothing you can do. But whether you're going to be like them is a choice. You see that? So you don't have a right to change who they are because they are also on a journey. They chose to be who they are. But you do have a choice to work on yourself so that you end up with an education, for example. So I believe we always have a choice. According to our social institution, so for example, in English, you've got uncle and aunt. It doesn't matter, but in African social structure, unale malume, unale rakgadi. And then unale mme, unale ntate, baba no mama, mother and father. So all these roles are institutions. And then you get an institution of inyanga, meaning healer. Healer means the one who corrects disharmony or that which is out of harmony, one that aligns that which is not aligned. So if you're going to want to tamper with rights, the question becomes, are you in an office that gives you the powers to do that? Because not everyone has got powers to do that. You see that? So ubaba no mama, mother and father, cannot take orders from a child on how to run the household. It's not within the rights of the institution of ngwana or child to tell us how to run the household. When this conflict between mama and papa, mother and father, in our context that is, when a conflict has reached its threshold and these people cannot seem to find a solution, who is the next person to consult with? It's malume le rakgadi, meaning uncle and aunt in English, simple language, because they have those rights to certain courts of conflict resolution between mama and papa. You see that? So beyond that, then you get nyanga, ngaga, people who are given the rights to, for example, change the weather, manipulate the weather, teach people about the secrets of spirituality, and whoever they deem fit, they will then, for example, pass on that knowledge to them. So to answer your question in short, it would depend whether you've been empowered with the rights to actually tamper with the right. And because to tamper with the right comes with consequences. So if you've been given the right to change that, then it means if a consequence manifests, you'll be able to respond to it accordingly. That's a good question. Very progressive, actually. It's progressive because we all assume that all prayers work across the board. You do. I have taken it that prayers are like personalities. Prayers are like tools, You're going to take an axe if you want to chop wood. You're going to use sword to chop what you understand? So there are prayers to empower different aspects of who we are. And that is the difficulty that most of us find ourselves in, because we want to drink from the same tap for all the problems that we have, for all the offices that we hold. You see that? So the universe is designed in a way that it is coded, in a way that it is numbered, in a way that it is colored. So different colors resonate with different emotions. Different colors resonate with certain offices. So the sun, for example, is a representation and a manifestation of the masculine aspect of the Creator God. The moon would be the feminine. The stars are said to be the children, for example. So there are certain prayers that you pronounce to the sun to say, bless my masculine side, bless my masculinity, empower my instincts. If you're a moon, for example, when you're being masculine, it is an instinct. When you're being feminine, it is an intuition. Bless my... When you're masculine, you will say amen. When you're feminine, you would say amenta, So these are all prayers that we can pray to the masculine or to the feminine in order to empower different roles that we play. If you want to be empowered as a person that is working, for example, to work you need energy. The sun gives you energy. You need masculine energy. The planet Mars, it's red. It gives you, it empowers you with the energy of work, So there are various prayers that respond to different aspects of our work or offices, yeah. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions that you've sent through. Very enlightening for me as well. I get an opportunity to think differently about what I thought I understood. Catch us again in our next episode. Remember to follow us on different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Mkhulu Makanya, Mkhulu M Makanya on Facebook, Mkhulu M Makanya on Instagram and TikTok, Mkhulu Makanya. And continue to sending me your thoughts, your reflections. I would appreciate it. I would love to hear from you. And remember to click subscribe and notifications for you to be able to catch the next episode. Thank you so much and be happy.